Guys, welcome back to the next category of my tier list. Now again, some absolutely fantastic comments yesterday, guys. So it's all going really well at the moment. So I've just finished off my city watch here. I just quickly rinsed one on easy just to get my last points to get to 1 million in the contest. As you can see here, I've obviously earned the max tokens, done a load of city watch battles, highest tokens are maxed out as well. Stamina, I never get near to maxing the stamina out because I'm not on the game enough, but you can see that it's all gone relatively well there, and that just gives me the final thing that I need. I've also moved up in the arena. Now guys, I've moved up 2 spaces in the arena, which is all good. Gain starting energy, that's ridiculous. Probably shouldn't have picked this one straight away actually, because Zeus versus Zeus never particularly goes well yet, because it's the enemy Zeus always gets to go first. So all I need to do is drop Sarah off, put Ian on. Oh no, he's still got rinsed. I managed to take out a few of their guys though. I know that is not the point of today's video, guys, but I just wanted to show you where I got to. And in Colosseum, I think I moved up 2 as well. Yeah. Lovely. I always just like to do 1 just so you can sort of get back in the rankings, because sometimes if you don't do a battle, guys, you don't get the diamonds at the end of the day. So just make sure you do 1 battle. Even if you lose it, when you pick up a few points, it will give you everything that you need to be able to get through and finish it all off. But Ian will die here when Clawhauser chucks his little donuts. Come on, little Clawhauser, look at him. Look at little Clawcat. Here we go. No, stop using your special, you idiot. Throw the donuts, man. Yes. There we go. I actually thought we weren't going to get there then. Then my team here, good old King Lou and his bananas, slipping everybody up. Then we've got reflect on everybody there. It's just when you use Kerm and Ian together, guys, the reflect that you can get is so good. There we go, that's gonna, look at the damage he's taken. Look at all the buffs now. Yeah, see? Now this is my damage per second team. And I've just got Mr. Big on at the front for now because he's a good tank. There we go. So most people will, Shigo normally does die, but she'll die after she got a special out, and then it doesn't really matter because there's never many people left. Oh no, they've actually taken me there. Ooh, that was a close one. Anyway, get some points, rank, fantastic. So, let's take a look at today. I want to do control type heroes. Now, I don't have and never have used a huge amount of control type heroes. So this video will be a little bit in less detail than the others. And I want to save attack for tomorrow because attack's a big one. So just bear that in mind. I'm going to more or less give honourable mentions, but for this one, I'd really like to know your guys' opinion. So please comment down your top 5 and why. And do take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt on this one, guys, because control type characters are ones that I've always never used. So of course, the 2 control type characters, and I'm going to be honest here, I thought Mr. Big was a tank. So you learn something new every day. And then we've got Ian, obviously going to be my 2. So those are easily my top 2. I do want to give an honourable mention to Cheshire Cat, and I will explain why, but it's only for 1 move he has. And Sarah's obviously fantastic as well, but she's quite difficult to level up, Sarah. So just bear that in mind. I don't really like Winnie. I just got her maxed out because you got 5,000 diamonds, and I set myself a challenge a while ago to see if I can max out all of the... When I say max out, I mean get them all to yellow and finish off that quest line on the yellow characters. Raya, I'm hoping I will max out. I'm going to be doing a 450 mystery prize wall opening with my brother over the weekend, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, so let's jump straight into this. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Big. And yeah, like I said, I generally thought Mr. Big was a tank, so we've learned something new. So I'm going to jump straight into Mr. Big, and there's a few reasons why he has so much health is actually ridiculous. And this move here, So he screams, a little bit like Sully, where he just screams forward and hits everybody. Mr. Big gives the signal to ice all enemies, so every single enemy on the team is frozen. Now, when you're ranking control type characters, you obviously want them to be able to control the enemy team, and freezing the entire enemy team does that. And then freezing them, and it's for 11 seconds, which is nuts. If enemies are already frozen, Mr. Big deals loads of damage to him. So if you have a character which can increase special and you get him to roll twice, the amount of damage he does is ridiculous. So of course, if you have a freeze team, it is not complete without Mr. Big. He deals loads of damage. The freezing scale of chance to fail as always. So that is the main reason I like him. Polar Punch, I'm not going to go over that. It's a very generic move. It just as a punch does damage. It's okay. But the second reason I really, really like Mr. Big is because there's one request. When an enemy is... Oh no, that's not the one. Sorry. Ice him. This one here is one of my favourite moves in the game. I just think it's ridiculous. So Mr. Big calls in a limo to take care of the furthest backline enemy. The limo picks up the enemy, and after 5 seconds they return to battle frozen and take damage per second while frozen. This freeze does not end until the frozen enemy is below 35% of their max HP. So what I like about this is that, for example, I always like to use Kermit. He's always at the back and he's always quite an annoying enemy to kill. Yes, you can easily get rid of him if you have Shigo and she hits the back, or, you know, a few characters that attack everybody, but the backline characters are always the last ones to get hit normally. So this is nice because the limo comes in, takes Kermit away. Kermit gets beaten up in the limo off screen to keep it PG, and then they roll him out. They roll his bloody corpse out of the door and he's frozen and he doesn't come back. So Mr. Big has to have a mention in my top 5 guys. I think he's fantastic. I'm not particularly doing my top 5 in any order for the controls, but Mr. Big is a fantastic character. I am trying to get him up to yellow 8 and max him out. But yeah, I'm a bit stuck with getting his shards really. But yeah. And then we go on to Ian. Now I said I'm not ranking him, but Ian probably is my all-time favourite control type character. I haven't gotten to 275 yet because I just like to move on and work on new characters. But I think he's fantastic. And I can show you my mod build for him. I basically did a firework mod build. So it does 50 plus levels on his firework. Basically just kills everyone straight away. So it's nice. So what is the best thing about Ian? I'm going to have to be honest, it's most of his moves. And that's the thing I like about Ian. And I can probably get his red skill up a little bit more as well, yeah. Oh. Yeah. So it's all of his moves. So his main special here, the Thunder Sir, Voltar Thunder Sir. Ian casts Voltar Thunder Sir at the closest enemy in the arena, dealing damage per second and knocking them back. It says closest enemies, but I'm 100% sure it hits everybody. So I don't know why it says closest, but anyway. Damage per second and knocking them back every second for 5 seconds. Ian casts a spell 2 seconds longer each time he casts it. So if battles are going on for a bit longer, he'll go for 7 seconds, then 9 seconds, then 11 seconds. So when he uses his special, it just goes and it just electrocutes, and just creeps everybody back as well. So it's a nice way to keep your team, keep the enemies away from your team. Again, controlling them really nicely and just doing damage. So it's nice. And then we have his firework move. He shoots a firework, it hits everybody and just does a stupid amount of damage. There's not more I can go in about that, guys. Obviously it blinds them as well, but most of them will die after that. And then we've got this one here. I like this move because it looks so dumb. And I'll tell you, if he uses this move on someone like Gadget, who's already tiny, they become like a little pea on the screen. Ian attempts to cast, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, on an ally, but misfires, instead shrinking the closest enemy. Enemies shrunk by the spell have their HP reduced by loads, their basic damage reduced, and their movement speed reduced, and it's for 12 seconds. So it's pretty ridiculous. So I'm awake, guys. So shrunk enemies and knocked back 100% farther. So what's nice is that, of course, it hits the enemies at the front. So that means the tanks are always going to be... So Clawhauser gets tiny, then you can shred him down. And obviously his reflection spell is probably the best thing about him. At the beginning of each wave, Ian applies Reflect to the furthest back ally, including himself. It's normally him and Kermit, for 5 seconds. Heroes Reflect percent 100% of damage they take and return it. So of course what this is nice is when you're going against Zeus, Reflect, Zeus gets damaged. Or if Bolt hits you, it'll kill Bolt straight away. So it's quite a nice thing to have. So that's why Ian makes it into, I say number 2, it's not in any particular position. So we've got our first 2. And I am going to have to put Sarah in, because I've really been enjoying using Sarah. I think she could be a little bit more powerful in some areas, but I really like having the extra character on screen. So what we have here is Enchanted Melody here. So obviously she spawns Billy, so I like the idea of having someone else to just waste an enemy's attack. Billy fights alongside Sarah and starts combat with loads of health, armor, blah, 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 blah. So Sarah's basic attacks deal an additional fantastic damage if Sarah's KO'd. Billy is also KO'd, so pretty cool, he does a lot of damage. Sarah sings, distracting enemies near Billy and forcing them to attack him for 8 seconds. And Billy heals as well. So I really like the idea of getting a character which you don't really care about, because if he dies it doesn't matter because he'll come back. And then using the special to distract everybody and pull him in. So I really, really like that. And then we've got loads of cool little moves here. Sarah directs Billy to scare enemies near him. Enemies take fantastic damage and are scared for 6 seconds. So it's a huge amount of damage. So enemies scared from any source reduce damage dealt to Billy, which is cool. Keeping Billy alive, so when he uses a special, he takes less. So again, you can mix this with Sully's Roar. And then in here, when Billy reaches 10% of his max HP, his head pops off. After he finds it again, he heals. So I like that, and his attack speed's increased as well. So basically everything here is just keeping Billy alive, and then Sarah just trickling away at the back. When Billy has his head, 25% of the damage that Sarah takes is redirected to him, so it keeps Sarah alive again. So I really like Sarah here, and I think she's a fantastic addition to the team. I use her a lot in PvP, so it's a waste of a character, and she's certainly quite good in Colosseum as well. And she's really good in story mode. So there's a few reasons why she's quite good there. So there's my 3. Now, as I go through this here, see, I can't give you on, because control characters have always slipped past me, and I've never really started to level them up. But I know for a fact that Sadness is great, Quackerjack is great. Donald Duck used to be good, he's not that great anymore. I know that Honeydew's also great. I wouldn't say use him. I wouldn't say use her. I wouldn't say use Lilo. Wouldn't use him. Wouldn't use him. I wouldn't use her either. Angel's good as well. Fozzie Bear not good anymore. Their sack move's good, but I wouldn't use them. Hero's good, Powerline's good. So I can't really give you any more characters because I've never really particularly used them. So that's kind of the top 3 that I recommend you work on that I've given you. I certainly recommend you work on Ian and Mr. Big, no matter what. Those are the 2 characters that I would put towards everybody because they're very good start game characters. So these 2 characters would work for any mode, and you'd have quite good fun using them as well. Sarah I wouldn't recommend starting on because she's quite difficult to obtain at the moment. You might watch this video in a month's time or a year's time, and she might be quite easy, but yeah. But I do want to give an honourable mention to Cheshire Cat and Jafar. So they would finish my list off, and Cheshire Cat solely for 2 moves. His headstand is one of those moves that can basically kill everybody. And his head toss here, Cheshire Cat throws his head at the enemy with the least HP, damaging them and stunning them. And I really like this move, because quite a lot of the time in the game, you'll just be like, oh, for God's sake, I just didn't kill that guy. And then Cheshire Cat pops his head off and kills him. So I like that. But everything else isn't really great. I like that just because it gives him his special again, and his special's ridiculous. And not all there. This is my favourite thing with Cheshire Cat, actually. So this is what I should have started on. The main reason that you should use Cheshire Cat is because of his counter against invisible people. So as soon as Randall goes invisible, he'll pop his head off and throw it at him and normally kill him straight away. So I do like that with Cheshire Cat. And then Jafar, I don't know if he's as good as he used to be. But this one here, Jafar summons a magic hourglass, targets the enemy with the most energy, stealing energy and reducing their attack speed. Ridiculous. And his tornado move is small that goes through all enemies and damages them per second. That used to do so much damage. His special's not as good since they nerfed him. The player chooses an enemy for Jafar to charm until he runs out. But I like this because if you could get that on the enemy's Bolt or the enemy's Zeus, the entire enemy team would drop. But yeah, that's kind of a quick review of those two. But if you want my quick advice, guys, work on Mr. Big, work on Ian, and work on Cheshire Cat for an invisible counter. And Ian's good for doing damage to all enemies, damage to all enemies, damage to all enemies, and staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. So yeah, those are my top 3. Well, top 4, I should say. Well, technically top 5, but I didn't really cover these 2 characters here. But I've also given you a quick overview. So let me give you a quick overview of the other characters. I might do a video where I quickly just ping over all the videos and classes as well. I'll do that next week. So I'm going to be reviewing your guys' comments, and then I'll go over and do quick reviews. So Tia's fantastic for using electric and just doing damage per second. Basil is okay because you can just rinse his special. It's really good for invasion. I've already spoken about Jafar. Winnie I don't really like. Gaston not good anymore. Melissa not really good anymore. Ursula not good anymore. He's not good anymore unless you're doing a freeze team. Don't really care for Hook. Wouldn't suggest Merlin anymore, but he is okay because he can turn people into a squirrel. Wouldn't suggest Aladdin. Wouldn't suggest Minnie. Wouldn't suggest Colette. Phoenix quite good, and so's Mad Hatter. But again, I hope you take this for what it's worth, guys. I'm not huge into the control type characters, but they would be my favourite. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you beauties in the next one.